locally in the community. Make sure y'all go check out Kneecap Body by Jeremy Smokin.
All right, I got a nice
here locally in the community.
We got a nice full panel of guests here. I'm going to talk about the Lions preseason game, maybe even cover a little bit of the hard knock stuff, and of course the roster cuts that were made today. So far, 3 out of the 5 have been cut. 2 more to go. My guest tonight is Russell Wayne of the Main Event 365, Dan Leonard of Mad Lab Custom Creations, John Edward Fox for QB2, otherwise known as Tom DeRubis of Sideline Sports, and DC 8091. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Welcome.
You've had enough of that yet.
Love it. That being said, let's get into it. At 142 subscribers, please go on to YouTube, subscribe, like, and share. Trying to push for that 1,000. Let's get into this. Who was hot? The first string offense, especially the O-line. I think that goes without saying that the offense looked great in that first drive, dominating at 7 minutes and 29 seconds of time of possession. So that was great. The score by Swift. Goff looked good, doing 3 of 4, technically 4 of 4 if you take away the 3 of 3 if you take away that drop that was horrendous.
Did I miss that? Who dropped one?
God. Wasn't Shark.
Shark, I don't even think had a target.
Williams. Jamal Williams dropped one.
Yeah, Jamal Williams hit him right in the hands.
Yep.
He beat Joe Lewis's ass.
Hutchinson, of course, he had a great game, getting a total of 4 pressures, 1 sack, and a tackle for loss out of his 11 snaps. Kirby Joseph looked good. Tracy Walker was showing up in the box and making good tackles. Rodriguez showed flashes but made mistakes. Jared Davis had some pretty decent plays as well. He was all over the field. He was all over the opposing QB. And the penalty that was called against him was caused because of Chris Board pushing him. So I don't really count that against Jared Davis. Plus, it was a ticky-tack, bang-bang play. It should have been an interception for Bobby Price.
Yeah, but the defense has still got a
lot of work to do.
Problems in over pursuing. I mean, Malcolm Rodriguez did make a very nice special teams tackle, but at the end of the day, you got to learn how to stay in your lanes and trust your other players and everything.
And he missed a couple of QB draws right up the middle. It's like they ran right past him.
But that's okay. But that's okay. He is a rookie. It is just preseason game 1. Just like everybody's telling you to relax because they scored on the first possession. And, you got to relax. It's just preseason. So when the bad stuff happens, we can't freak out about it either.
Exactly. I mean, everybody that's going to the same old Lions thing, you have to remember that was third string offense in the fourth quarter that made a mistake that cost the game, as well as the fourth string defense.
No McNeil, no Levi, no Okoro 1 or Okoro 2. So it's like they said they put starters in, but, they kind of did. They put some starters in for sure.
Well, we don't know when Romeo's returning because he's still not rehabbing and he's still not practicing with the team. So Romeo, I understand him being out. The Julian Okwara thing, he's been at practice the whole time. I didn't get that.
Well, maybe he's kind of solidified.
I think Julian just had a bad game.
Julian didn't play.
Oh, he didn't play either?
He didn't play at all. Neither Okwara brother played.
I knew Romeo didn't play.
They were looking depth. And I think that's really smart. When you're talking to first we're trying to find which guys are going to fill the back end of this roster. There's a lot of guys.
Another one that I really didn't put in because it was with the second and third string defense, but he actually did quite well in coverage, was Chase Lucas.
Mm-hmm. Yes. He almost had an interception.
Yeah, I mean, if he wouldn't have dropped that, that'd have been such a big because that would have stopped that final touchdown where they took the lead.
Yeah.
Now it resulted in 6.
Right.
Yeah, but they went for it on a 4. They would have kicked the field goal in a real game situation. So it's like whatever. I mean,
even Derek Barnes flashed some good plays in there too on the second string defense. And he over pursued too, but I'm saying he had some flashes. I didn't say he was great. I didn't say he was hot. I said he had some flashes.
He showed some last year too, but he was very up and down.
Yeah.
Well, last year he was a rookie, so I mean, he didn't even get chances to play till, he was playing, but I mean, this year he gets a chance at being the starter, and I think that he could do very well. He did show flashes.
And the one thing that I will say, and I've said it again, we need a legit linebacker for the middle core.
Good Lord, more than one.
At least one to help solidify somebody that can be a leader other than Alex Anzalone.
Well, it's weird because remember, it was early in the season last year, like no more than 3-4 weeks into the season, when Anzalone came out and said, I'm grooming Derek Barnes to be my replacement. Like that had me really excited, and then
you cut out right there.
Then, how about now? Good.
Yeah, I can hear you.
It was like you froze up on your Wi-Fi.
What was the last thing you heard?
You said Alex Anzalone when he came out after week 3 or 4, and then you cut out.
Yeah, he basically said that he was, grooming Derek Barnes to be his replacement. And then it seemed like after that was when Barnes's play kind of got inconsistent.
You're not wrong.
Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and 3 toes.
That's right. All right. Does anybody disagree with who I had for the Who's Hots?
Nope.
No. The only other one I heard, although I didn't read the whole paragraph or whatever, but I guess John Kaminsky had at least a good play or a couple good plays.
Yeah, I mean, it was third string defense. He had a couple standout plays there, but again.
What about Tom Kennedy, baby? Come on.
Oh, yeah. And Tom.
Of course.
And of course, our buddy Luke G's Field Review said, let's get it.
Hit your Lord's ass.
One ass cheek is not a bad thing, or is it?
Where does he come up with that?
Kneecap off.
Oh my God!
I mean, honestly though, when's the last time Tom Kennedy wasn't hot in the preseason?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he always shows out in the preseason, and he made a couple of good plays for us last year when he got a chance to crack the roster due to injury. But I don't see with the depth we have at wide receiver how he's a starter yet.
No, he'll make it on special.
All he's done is shown up. Like, he hasn't had a lot of opportunities, but whatever little opportunities that Tom Kennedy's had, he's always made the most of it.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that. But like I said, with the depth that we have, Cephas is back practicing today. That's a good thing.
Whoop, whoop.
Does he honestly even matter at this point?
Cephas? Yes. We need a contested catch guy. We need another route runner than Amon Ra.
Yeah, Cephas is fine.
He's the forgotten man, but I could see him being a solid contributor.
Although they don't cover him, they'll know it.
I still can't shake that feeling. He may get traded either during the preseason or before the trade deadline. And honestly, if he's healthy and being underutilized, I'm for it.
Yeah, I mean, if he's being underutilized, but if he's actually, when he's in and being productive, I'm not sure that they would trade him away.
Yeah,
I can easily see him playing so well that he forces his way into more snaps. It seems like everyone except me and you, Jeremy, forget that he was our best receiver last year until he got hurt.
Oh, I remembered.
Oh, Cephas is a beast.
I've been saying that the whole time.
Yep. I mean, that's why I don't want to lose him. He does have that last year of the rookie contract still. Let's let him play it out. Because if he develops into something decent, let's say he's one of the guys that I said we're going to have 5 or 6 guys with 500 to 750 yards receiving because we have so many options for Goff and everything else. I don't see a 1,000-yard receiver.
So don't take anybody from the Lions in fantasy. Gotcha.
Yeah,
That's not what I said either, because they'll be producing.
Yeah,
I would more agree with Dan than not. Hawkinson is your best bet.
Yep.
And unless you got the depth to have Jamison Williams sitting there till he gets healthy.
Amon-Ra in a PPR league.
Yep.
There's going to be some darlings that come out. Like, I mean, Goff's going to fall in love with one of these studs, and one guy will get underutilized. One or two guys. I do believe they'll have a 1,000-yard receiver, but I couldn't peg it right now. I wouldn't know who it can be. Hawkinson could be it.
Hawkinson could be it. Swift could even be it, really, the way he uses them in the screenplays and everything.
Reynolds,
if Hawkinson, I keep forgetting about Reynolds too.
It'll be more targets than reception yards. Who's going to get the targets is going to be the question, because Shark and St. Brown can rip off 1,000 yards if they get open. They get a 7-yard pass, that could be a 37-yard pass in a couple seconds. That's where the 1,000 yards are going to come from. It depends on what percentage target share they're getting.
Facebook user comes in and says, "Hello, Smokin' Jeremy. What's cooking? Kneecaps."
And to your point, sir, did you guys hear the main thing that Amon-Ra worked on in the offseason?
Route running.
Run after catch.
Yep.
Like obsessively.
What's up, guys? Steve Bauer comes in and says, "What's shaking, guys?" And Brian Roy comes in and says, "Hi, guys. Good to see everybody. Thanks."
That and doing 250 jugs a day.
Yeah, 202. And it was great. Great when I saw the reason why. There was a guy that was in high school that caught everything thrown his way. And his dad asked that dad how his kid got so good. And he goes, "My son catches 200 passes, 100 with each hand." So he went to Amon-Ra and said, "Well, you're going to do 101 with each hand because you're not going to do less than somebody else."
Yep.
I like that.
The beast. He was doing that during the draft.
Yeah.
Every round that he was that. I mean, that's awesome.
And shows what he dropped, 2 passes last year or something unbelievable.
One pass. He dropped one pass in the first game and never dropped a pass after that.
So we have a scary deep team. Poor Tom Kennedy. Gosh.
And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off.
Yep.
That is. I mean, it's biting kneecaps with Smokin' Jeremy.
Now it's to the bad.
Jeremy, real quick.
What?
Did you hear that rumor going around today that the Lions may trade for Mason Rudolph to be a backup?
Oh, God, no. You're bullshitting anyways.
I swear to God.
No, I read it too.
Yeah.
That's exciting as Baker Mayfield.
Or Jimmy G.
Oh, let's get Jimmy G.
Actually, Jeremy, two other guys.
To be 100% honest, if we make the playoffs and it's squarely Jared Goff's fault that we lose, yes, go get Jimmy G.
Hey, 2 other guys who are hot.
He is.
Crazy but inspiring story about the Sun God.
Didn't he pick his number based upon the number of receivers that went before him in the draft?
Yes, he did.
Steal.
That's
14 players went before him, and he was tied technically for second in yards and third in touchdowns.
You just made the list.
Yep.
Imagine with a better quarterback, how many more yards he would have had.
Imagine with better play calling in the first 9 games, what he would have had.
Just saying.
Hey, Jared Goff was a top 10 quarterback last 5 games. So, I mean, I don't know how much better you really want.
Yeah, and he didn't drop any. It's not like it was bad passes around him. He caught everything to him.
Funches impressed me too. I think he'd be a good red zone target from Steve Bauer. Yeah, I mean, he may have played himself to be the TE3, seeing how they just cut Nolan Givens and Gilbert Griffin. Yep. And the other cut was center Ryan McCullum. And so we got that out of the way real quick. There's the 3 of the 5 gone right there.
Those are pretty.
And as bad as A.J. Parker looked, he should be scared that he might be one of the cuts.
Exactly.
Yeah,
AJ Parker looking bad.
Our talent drop off after Hawk is pretty severe.
He looked worse than Eli Apple in the Super Bowl.
Is that really possible?
That's harsh.
It's not harsh when that's what he looked like. He looked like burnt toast and blind.
I think that
Richard Head comes in and says, "Hello, guys."
Right.
My favorite YouTube username out there.
What is it?
Where's my Lions blanket? That is up in the room. I'm outside. I like being outside. It's summertime.
Well, I like the fact that they got rid of the 2 tight ends. That says a lot for Brock Wright, who looks like a very, very solid. He might be even talking about winning that tight end 2 job.
I think he is the tight end 2 at this point.
Think so?
I think Funchess is the 3 unless Derek Deese can show something in the next game or Zylstra shows something.
Well, I was
also the blocker
with you, and you had brought up that. I mean, we had both thought that Funchess probably didn't even have a chance to make the roster, and I think that he definitely played himself into the conversation that he could make it in there as a tight end 3, or maybe even an H-back or some kind of just pass catcher red zone dude. If they had the
I hope he worked on his blocking technique in that year and a half that he was out of the league.
Yeah, that's why Brock's going to make the team as a second tight end. He's the best blocker that we have, at least till Mitchell gets rolling.
And he's solid where he needs to be when on pass plays.
And he could be moving to fullback or taking fullback reps too, with Kabinda being gone for who knows how long.
And that's where Mitchell is. That's where Mitchell he wins his. He makes all his pay dirt off of block. He's a beast on tight end or on wide receiver screens, like knocking DBs out the way. That's James.
You just got to get reps.
I don't even how you could say Cephas doesn't make the team. Cephas is a better route runner than Tom Kennedy and shows up every time he's on the field.
Exactly.
What about the tight end we just drive? That's James Mitchell. He's still recovering from his ACL. He's been playing with the practice squad, but he hasn't taken the field yet because they don't want him re-injuring that ACL, especially with Kabinda being on and off the roster, and he's played fullback.
I was going to say Mitchell's like an H-back, right?
Yep.
Fullback.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, he was drafted as a fan. He sat out the entire year because he got injured real early.
Yeah, he got his ACL tear in surgery back in September of last season.
But he's already been cleared to practice, but they're just kind of taking they pulled the brakes out, a little bit because I don't need it.
Good, don't rush him back. Learn your lesson
quarterback in high school
from Austin Bryant.
Yeah, I mean, Austin Bryant got rushed back way too soon his rookie season, got hurt again, came back too early the second year, got hurt again. And last year, they were actually smart. They didn't bring him in until mid to late season.
Let's all say a prayer for that man's health, because when healthy,
he's good.
He's one of our best DNs.
Yep. You looked good on Friday. You saw number 2 around the ball all the damn time.
Yep. I mean, there was a lot of guys around the ball. It was the ones that didn't do anything with it.
Yeah, well, still.
Yeah, and there it is. Davis was all over the place too, and by that roughing the passer penalty was bullshit. I mean, it was called out by the announcers, and they weren't. I'm not talking about the radio announcers where it was homers. I'm talking about the TV announcers.
Yep.
I didn't see the play. Did you pushed into him?
Yeah. Offensive lineman pushed board hit him, and he bumped it.
That collarbone is a freak injury. Cephas played a lot of games his rookie year too.
Yep.
Yeah, Cephas was a survivor because that Bob Quinn. Anybody that was drafted by Bob Quinn was due to some executioner style with Brad Holmes style coming in there, and Cephas survived that first chopping block and earned his way on this team.
Yeah, you know why? Talent. He was supposed to be a much higher round pick, but there was some sexual assault rumors that ended up being untrue.
And
right.
40.
And he ran a crap 40, but
Yeah, he ran a crap 40 at the combine, and then in front of the NFL scouts at his pro day, he actually ran a decent 40. I mean, 4.56. He ran a 4.7 at the combine, but then you find out 2 days after the combine, he just recovered from the flu where he lost some weight and everything else.
Yep. So that combine score wasn't gold.
Yeah, the only way Cephas isn't on the team is if he's on IR. I couldn't see him getting cut. I mean, if Tom Kennedy makes this team, it's along with Cephas, and that's just because they need extra bodies because Jamison Williams is probably going to be on the PUP list when they start the season.
And
Stephen
the other,
King,
the other thing that no one even wants to mention out loud, but there's a good chance of it happening. We all know what I'm talking about. When it comes,
injuries.
Yeah, when it comes to a certain wide receiver's overall health in the NFL.
Are we speaking of Shark?
Oh, why would you say it?
I have the over-under at 10 games.
I think he's going to play all games because
I hope he plays all games, but I have the over-under at 10 games.
He could have gotten more money per year and more years if he went to a different team.
I mean, one of those teams was the one that got Devontae Adams.
And that's like, I think when you bet on yourself, there's just a certain demeanor about that. He played on a 1-year contract because he thinks he can be the number one receiver here in Detroit. And if he pulls it off, then
fantastic.
I think he's one of a lot of players that really likes our culture, and he sees that he's got an opportunity here.
It's just like Tracy Walker. He already had because the legal tampering started.
So I mean, and you know why Shark got injured, right? Is because Gardner Minshew loves to throw people into devastating hits. And
exactly.
Goff is by far the best quarterback that DJ Shark has ever played with. I think he could have a breakout year. He's my 1,000-yard receiver if we have one, because he's going to be there.
It was Minshew's only target too, so he was getting that every damn catch.
Yep, that's right. I know that's right.
You just
I think they still had Allen Robinson.
Allen Robinson was in Chicago the year that Minshew was throwing, and Shark got the Pro Bowl.
No, I was going to say no. They did not. Dede Westbrook and Chris Conley.
Yeah, so like we said, Shark was his only real receiver.
And he was getting cover for it.
Yeah, and you know what was great was like when they're talking about how Antoine Randall is just opening up Shark's eyes to all these different routes and the route tree that he never learned while he was in Jacksonville. So he's coming here and he's taking that 4.3 speed, 6.4 frame, and and Antoine's helping him take that shit to the next level.
Okay, let's go over who was not hot, and I want to start with the obvious one, Trinity Benson.
I thought you were going to go Boyle, but yeah, Trinity Benson.
No, he's next on the list.
One.
That's the other obvious one was Tim Boyle. I mean, Chris Ward. I mentioned him already. If it wasn't for him, Jared Davis would have never got called for that penalty that negated an interception.
It wasn't quite his fault.
Backers. Actually, just say Kelvin Shepard. Shepard just needs to get the linebackers in order because even Jared Davis was over pursuing. Rodriguez was over pursuing. Barnes was over pursuing. So Kelvin Shepard needs to take those guys into a room and have one of those Deuce Staley talks with them. Be like, you guys need to get out there.
And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off.
Yeah, I mean, and also it's one of those things that the defensive coordinators and the NFLPA need to get with the NFL about changing one part of the stupid off-season workouts. They need to bring back the bull in the ring.
Yep.
That teaches tackling, hand placement, hand pop, all of that stuff.
Yep.
And a look behind you.
It's funny because I agree with you about Benson, but then literally today I see an article from a reputable Lions, I don't know, what are we calling it? Media group of sorts. And it's like, oh, Benson stars in practice again.
Yeah, he stars in practice and is crap on the field. So I look at the eyeball test on the field.
Yeah,
Me
there
too.
needs to be something. There needs to be something with the quarterbacks. I mean, Goff didn't invite him, and obviously Boyle and Blau don't look to him. So there has to be some kind of either communication. I mean, Boyle just said Kennedy Black,
Or Raymond.
Yeah, or
I
Raymond.
think Benson is still pretty raw as a receiver because he was pretty much just a special teams guy in Denver. We traded for him, and then none of us saw much of anything. But then I think it was Campbell that came out and said, we have plans for him beyond this year. He might get Kennedy's spot on the roster.
Rodriguez is in that both hot and cold. He made some plays around the ball, but then he made mistakes. I mean,
so Tom Kennedy
Richard had said DJ Shark should have 1,000 yards or more this year just on QB play alone. He also says Jared Davis looked like he was in mid-season form. Good blitzer, pretty good at stopping the run. Helen Keller status when it comes to pass coverage. Absolutely. I mean, we've always said that about him.
Cover anybody. Thank you, Richard.
He was not hot. Boyle, he sucks. Didn't Benson have a penalty in the game as an ineligible receiver or something like that? It was poor motion because he didn't get set on the line when he crossed across in that motion play. That's what it was. But yes, that was a penalty on Benson.
Down near the goal line, right?
Yep. Actually, it was where we were in field goal range, and it took us out of field goal range with the penalty.
Pimpleton also cold.
One of them got lined up because they weren't on the line, and they ended up getting a tackle called. And I'm like, what the hell did the tackle do? Oh, he wasn't on the line. That'll do it.
Yeah, that was Nelson. Thank you, Nelson.
It got called. No, it got called on Nelson. It wasn't his fault. It get called on the tackle if the receiver isn't up on the line. So the receiver
have him move up. Yeah, that was Benson. That was Benson. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, Benson.
That one.
Okay. Yeah.
Because he went into motion, but he didn't get back up on the line.
I thought you said Nelson. I was like, no, it was receiver. Sorry.
I don't think.
No, that's who got the penalty. That's who got the penalty.
Yeah, just
because he ran across from Obina Eze's side to Matt Nelson's side.
Yeah, and he didn't get set on it. Yep.
So Trinity Benson or Kennedy? Because I don't think that Kennedy's in there trying to get Cephas's job, but between Benson and Kennedy, who
I would take Kennedy in spades over Benson.
That's right, Tom Kennedy. Woo!
Let's package Benson and Anzalone to get Roquan Smith. Come on.
I mean, it's really going to depend on who plays the better special teams at that point. I mean, Kennedy, neither one of them are going to get top snaps at receiver. They're going to need to be everywhere else. So whichever one wins that out. That's
Benson had one.
Do either one of them play in coverage on special teams?
Well, Benson was actually returning kicks at the beginning of the game, and he was pedestrian at best, in my opinion. He had one good one and two bad ones. Pimpleton actually surprised me when he came out of the end zone on that last kickoff after they went ahead. Yeah. And he was 6 yards deep and ran it out to the 25. And one more block, he was gone because there was nobody in front of him.
Yeah, I like.
But he was disappointing on offense.
Yeah,
6 targets, 3 catches, 15 yards,
2 drops.
Yeah, Tim Boyle and
damn
David
it,
Blah. Yeah,
and David Blah actually looked good until that muff snap fumble.
Yep.
And that was all on him. It wasn't a muff snap by the center, is what I'm saying. It was off the snap. He didn't grab the ball right.
We have one quarterback.
Mason Rudolph coming in.
Let's bring it. Let's get Mason Rudolph.
Funchess was signed as a tight end, not a wide receiver.
Yes.
Yep.
Kennedy may make the roster as the wide receiver 6, but that's
none of
only
them are
if,
taking Cephas's job.
Yeah,
no,
that ain't happening.
Cephas.
I mean, Cephas only had a bruise, guys. It wasn't anything major. It wasn't a major injury. It was a bruise when he laid out to make a catch in front of Jeff Okuda, and he hit the ground on his leg too hard. That's all it was. The MRIs came back negative. He's already back practicing right now.
Right. They
if
said he would miss two weeks at most, and he missed what? Barely
a week and a half. Week and a half is what he missed.
And guys,
if they cut him. He ain't lasting 5 minutes on the waiver wire. That's for sure. They ain't going to do that.
oh no, Cephas is not going to get cut. They're not
No way in hell.
Kennedy can survive the waiver wire.
You trade him, you don't cut him. That's all.
That's if you
go
trade.
back and how about go back and never make that trade for Benson?
That would have been great because we still would have had a 4th and a 6th rounder.
We'll give you Cephas and Benson for Roquan. Come on, straight up.
You're not going to take
Hands alone.
They want way more than that for Roquan Smith because he's worth more than that.
We'll
Anzalone, Benson, and a 3rd round pick. And they might give us Anzalone and a 3rd round pick back.
You watch. Chicago's going to do something stupid when it comes to Roquan Smith.
Absolutely. Hopefully they don't send me
we just have to have Brad Holmes be the guy that initiated it. Come on, man.
We need the Joe Dumars trade talisman, where he sits down with a GM and starts waving the talisman. Next thing you know, the other GM wakes up. Dumars is gone, along with the guy's wallet, pants, and good players.
You don't need that linebacker. He's making all that headache for you. Come on, we'll take him off your hands. You don't need that.
In reality, they did offer him a really shithead deal.
Actually, though, let me ask you this, and this is a little more realistic. You offer Chicago the Rams first, Cephas, and I don't know, maybe that's it for Roquan Smith.
And Benson.
Yeah, and Benson. Would you do it?
Absolutely. 100%.
And that's why we get swept by the Bears.
No. No.
In a heartbeat, I do that because I think Roquan Smith is that talented.
They need that pick. They need a receiver.
They need multiple receivers.
And they need to get rid of Smith before he sits out for a year.
They got Darnell Mooney, and that's about it because N'Keal Harry got hurt. He's going to miss half the season. They got 2 guys that are going to be either in.
And we're going to need to sign him, though. That's what we're basically
in jail or suspended away. For the other 2, Moore and Pringle.
You know what really grinds my gears about Tim Boyle?
He's still on the roster.
Right. Literally, the only good thing he did all night was throw a deep ball to Khalif Raymond, who I also want off the team.
Who had to lay out to get it because it was slightly overthrown.
No, it was right there. That was a good throw.
It looked like he had to
slow it out a little.
Yeah, okay.
Give me the dirt on Khalif. I want to know this.
It's his way he returns punts. 33% of the time he goes to his knees without calling a fair catch, while a defender's right there and he gets hit immediately.
So he's a fucking idiot.
Yes. Yeah. That and he tied Kadarrell Hodge for most drops last season.
I was going to say it's not even as specific as what he does on kick and punt returns. It's just that he's not. I mean, didn't we either signed him off the street?
We signed him off the street, yes, and he came in, and yes, he was electric in the kick returns. The punt returns were less than meh.
I mean our wide receiver room.
As much as I hate him, Godwin Igwebuike is a better returner.
Our wide receiver room at the time looked like trash.
There it is. How is Tim Boyle even in the league?
He's got video evidence of someone with the last name Ford dropping the hard ER.
Probably.
He's got the same level of dirt that Brandon Inge had on Mike Ilitch.
Yes.
Tim Boyle might be playing for the Panthers next year.
And what do you guys think of Alexander?
Are we trading him for Baker Mayfield?
He had a catch. Alexander is one of those guys that might make the practice squad because he can return, but I don't know if he cracks the 53.
Yeah.
No, he is.
Alexander,
you have to get
big problem.
Brace Alexander the second. Does that sound familiar?
Alexander the second.
Maurice Alexander the second, as in
Dude, right?
possibly Maurice Alexander, the running backs kid.
Is that possibly, or is it?
I think it is. I'm not sure. I got to look.
That was the USFL guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That would be cool. I mean, Brad Holmes has been going out and getting a bunch of them guys and giving them a shot because, you never know. You might strike gold. It's possible. Anything's possible.
Isaiah Buggs had a great play. John Kaminsky had a couple good plays.
Bugs, I guess, has seen some snaps with the ones.
That was the D tackle, right?
Yeah, those are both. The one is a true nose tackle. The other one's just a D tackle, but they both had some plays in key spots. Kaminsky came in with the third stringers and made a play. Hey, how you doing, Riker?
Riker's on the show. Look at that. You smell like you smell great. Mwah.
Like you just had a bath?
No. No.
Speaking of sons of people,
wasn't that.
just found out today. Never even knew it was a thing. But Warren G's son just signed with the Bills. Didn't even know he was a football player.
That's cool.
So Warren G's in the house gonna regulate.
That was the greatest song ever when it came out because I already knew the Michael McDonald sample.
And 4 O linemen I'm going to name. One was just cut that were absolutely abysmal. Benieze, Kevin Jarvis, Matt Nelson, and Ryan McCollum.
Yep.
They were all cut, or they need to be cut?
No. One was cut.
Yeah, McCollum was cut.
Stenberg actually looked decent on the left guard side, but he still wasn't great in pass protection.
Did we lose any of our O linemen from the roster last year?
Ryan McCollum.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying like from last year to this year.
Oh God, who was the one that? We got rid of Terrell Crosby. That's who we got rid of in the offseason.
Because I was going to say
cut him last year anyway.
No, he wasn't cut till after the season was over. He was one of the first cuts we got rid of.
Yep.
I thought we were trying to trade him during the season.
Matt Nelson has been here for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He just hasn't
Nelson, the huge one, or
Matt Nelson?
is the huge one.
No, I'm talking about the white bald guy that's like 6'9". I think that's Skipper.
That is Dan Skipper, yeah. That's Dan Skipper.
In the Big Easy, that's who I'm going to go the easiest on is Easy because he's undrafted rookie. So, yeah, in your first NFL experience, maybe it is a little fast the first time. But
yeah,
is he one of the local kids?
He's one of the UDFAs we got. I can't remember what school he was from.
State?
I think he's
Hang
from
on, I'm going to go get the flyer from the practice.
Yep.
He's from TCU. He was actually projected to be a 5th round pick.
Yeah, he was. And I was excited when we got him because he's big. I mean, he's not huge like Dan Skipper, but he is a big guy. Kevin Jarvis was the guy that was from Michigan State. And Matt Nelson has been here for 3 years, and he had one good game versus when he was playing as the backup against Chicago against an aging, decrepit Khalil Mack.
Yeah,
Aging decrepit Khalil Mack still pretty damn good.
He's made his money being slightly below average here in Detroit.
Yep.
I mean,
Given
he
got
hasn't
cut today,
been
right?
like
Yeah, Nolan Givens, and the other tight end was Gilbert Griffin.
Given is from Berkeley.
Yeah.
So it's like Matt Nelson isn't like train wreck bad, but he's just bad. He's just bad enough that you kind of
notice him.
You just, yeah, but you keep him his depth because
his war isn't too high. Let's put it like
who were our depth guys on the O line that played the most last year when we had
Tommy Kramer and Evan Brown.
Evan Brown is a beast.
They're still here. They're still here.
Both of those guys play all 3 interior positions as well.
That's going to keep them there.
Who else
it's time to
go?
It's that time when I do a few words from our sponsors. I'm going to let Dan Leonard take over on Mad Lab Custom Creations since he's here. Oh, 1 second on that. Got me do the other one first? All right. Well, it's A1 Tire and Auto Repair. 3 locations to serve you. Old Coquitlam, Saginaw, and then my store here in Bay City on Broadway. Great used tires, good prices, and great prices on new tires as well.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yep. And now Dan can tell us about Mad Lab Custom Creations.
Okay, everybody, Mad Lab Custom Creations. Right now, we're just doing mini helmets and full-size helmets. Any custom thing you want, basically. We're doing rips, drifts. We got a new flame pattern, some Desert Storm camo helmets coming out that we're going to be sending out for the Jameson Williams signing next week. Yeah, I know you're excited about that. Hopefully, I can talk to Dom after the show. We can work something else out because I got an idea. But, yeah, hang on. I got everything boxed up already. Shit. I don't have anything to show right now. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Well, fuck it. Hang on.
Brian Roy says when the cuts are made, we can find an LB. I have to say that Jared Davis looked better than before. You know, everybody forgets that Jared Davis, his sophomore year with us in 2018, after the trade was made for Snacks, he led the team in pressures. He tied for the lead in sacks, and he also had the most tackles on the team.
Number two in the entire NFL for quarterback pressures at linebacker.
Yep.
Yep. For those of you that don't know who number one was, it was Kyle Van Noy.
and I think that, like I said, we got to pump the brakes a little bit with the linebackers in general. I think that looked more like a schematic thing because they were all struggling on the same thing, and that's usually a sign that the coaching needs to make the adjustment rather than each individual player being shitty.
They almost looked like they were more focused on their stunts and where to go, as opposed to who to cover. There's like the one for Rodriguez. He wasn't even looking. He went straight. That was a clear blitz going around the outside, and he cut it right back in. It wasn't a read and react, flatten down the line. That was a complete stunt. So I think that's what they were more looking on getting the linebackers there. That's why Davis and Board ran into each other. That was when you send 2 linebackers right up the middle. And getting both linebackers in that deep is pretty damn nifty. It rarely happens for both of them to get in there that quick.
I mean, I think we're all worried about the linebackers because we should be. It's our weakest position group.
It is.
Yep.
By far.
I don't think they're at their ceiling by a long
And
time.
of course, my buddy Brian Stover says Goff sucks. Goff actually was not a problem at all. You're totally blind.
It's funny. People it's like bringing in garbage from the previous relationships. So they want to tell you about stuff that happened, way, way long ago. But really, it's like a Janet Jackson song. It's "What Have You Done for Me Lately?" And all of the linebackers struggled in places, but all of the linebackers also showed flashes in places too. So
except for Chris Board.
Well, Chris Board was brought in as a special teams guy. I don't know where.
No, he came here because he was told he was going to get a chance to start. The Ravens wanted to start him this year.
Teams guy. Okay, that's cool, but he needs to be a teams guy. Rodriguez.
Yeah, he was a situational linebacker with Baltimore, so that's what he was trying to do. But again, I think you're completely right. That linebacker was more focused on schematics than they were tackling drills.
Right. I mean,
I think that was
because if you watch that first Hard Knocks, Dan Campbell was high on the only job you have on defense is tackling. Now get in there and tackle in these drills. Lo and behold, after that, they started tackling better. Mm-hmm. But yet in that game, they looked just like they did in that practice drill. They were missing simple tackles.
Oh, yeah. I mean, missing the tackles is definitely the issue, but if we're talking about when they weren't there or people ran by them or they looked like they were in the wrong place, I'm guaranteed that was scheming by design, and that's what they were doing as opposed to being game responsible, game film. This is what Atlanta's going to do. You need to be right here at this play at this time.
Right.
For this quarterback
it didn't look like they did a whole game plan. at all
It's
for the
it's
defense.
just
It looked
it's
like they
just
did a vanilla
worrisome.
defense.
It's
It's just
situation
worrisome that
versus-
Anzalone is supposed to be our veteran and our leader, and he's not a good tackler. So what are the young guys going to learn from him?
I mean,
And
Anzalone just
also,
dropped it. He was good.
I
at
don't
the
want to be
beginning of
called a
last year.
pessimist again, but it's also equally as worrisome as it is encouraging about Rodriguez getting all these opportunities, because why is a 6th round linebacker threatening to crack the starting lineup?
Well, he's
Exactly.
playing his ass
You
off.
can't even say that it's more than 50% about his talent and NFL readiness as it is lack
Oh,
of
there it
talent
is.
around him.
He
Because
confused
he's
Matt
not
Nelson with
a
Lamb.
linebacker in the draft. They should have drafted somebody a lot sooner in the draft or signed a free agent, honestly. He dropped the ball on that big time in my eyes.
The thing is,
The guy I wanted, we all know, I've said it a million times, I wanted Troy Anderson or Chad Muma.
well, I'm not willing to give up on
Leo
these.
Chanel would have worked too.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are they're rookies in the very first game. So to answer your question with the Rodriguez thing, like, is it more about opportunity or is it more about talent? The answer to that question is yes. It's both.
Definitely.
Yes, he does have a good opportunity to make this team because the roster is so depleted of talent that he can rise up that depth chart so fast.
Right.
And he is extremely talented. He was just undersized with short arms, but I mean, he had 35 reps at 225. He's strong as a bull.
Yep.
Seems like
He also might be that one that can tackle and cover.
But
a
if you
tight
also
end.
remember, he only fell to the 6th round because of his size. He was supposed to be a 4th or 5th rounder.
And then James Houston too. We don't know what we really have there yet either. So it's like
Right, because he's recovering from injuries.
People
They need to get in there.
because they
That
they're-
dude might be a monster. Is he the
Brian,
problem?
Brian Roy made a good comment here. Corners might be a concern, in my opinion. Do you agree, Smoke? Yeah, yes and no. I mean, it's the first preseason game. You're knocking off the rust and everything else. Game speed is way different than practice speed. AO looked a little rusty, that's for sure. AJ Parker looked like Eli Apple. I'm sorry, that may be harsh, but he did. He looked like he was burnt toast and blind.
To be honest, the lengthiest amount of solid play that I've seen out of AJ Parker was in camp and the preseason last year.
Yes.
And he had like a stretch of 2 games where he did all right, and then he kind of disappeared on the.
What is what's the prognosis on Jacobs returning? I've heard back and forth. I heard
Jerry
early, I
Jacobs,
heard he's not.
he's close. he is back to where he's going to be practicing soon, but mostly in individual stuff. So it's probably going to be close to like when Jamison Williams, Josh Pascal, and all those come back somewhere around weeks 4 to 7.
Yeah, because if we're running Okuda, Corey, him, and Will Harris at corners, we're going to have very little to worry about. We have all 4 of them out there.
Don't forget, we got Mike Hughes, a former first rounder on the team,
I haven't
too.
even gotten to Mike Hughes yet. Yeah, it's going to get nasty. If all of them are hitting at all cylinders, that's going to be bad.
Richard Head says, realize I confused Matt Nelson with Kevin Lamb, the old lineman they signed from the Titans, who actually had a decent game.
Mm-hmm.
And Victor Lesser says, I'm glad it's still preseason and they have time to tighten up. Absolutely. That's where I'm at. Stop with the same old Lion stuff, because same old Lions, do you remember what happened when we won all 4 of our preseason games?
0-16.
All right, so I want to overreact here. Okay. So everybody wants to overreact about how bad the Lions were on defense. Our offense is going to be the number 1 offense in the league because we scored a touchdown and nobody can stop us. We're just going to push people out of the way. What do you have to say about that, Jeremy?
As long as that O-line stays healthy, this offense has the potential to be fantastic.
Am I overreacting?
Yes.
Off of 9 plays?
Yes.
So everybody else that's out there thinking that the defense is going to be awful because of the preseason game needs to get on the other side of this energy here. We're not going to overreact because the Lions don't have the best offense in the league because they scored on the first drive. They don't have the worst defense in the league because a couple of their rookies didn't
It's
play.
that right there. That comment
Damn
says
right.
it all. It's evaluating players, not who wins right now. Absolutely. Kennedy deserves a roster spot.
Oh, he's earned it.
If you're going to say after one preseason games he earned it, fine.
No, he's been consistent, Jeremy. You know that he comes out and he gets his 3 plays and he always makes them.
Oh,
but he only gets 3
pass
plays.
last year than Boyle did all year last year.
Because he's depth fodder.
I mean, but if you want a guy that's going to go out and run the right route and have sure hands and catch the wide open ball,
you got Amon-Ra Cephas that's ahead of him.
But
my
what
thing
I'm saying
is,
those guys that
he
are
made
ahead
the
of him,
53 last year, right? Or was he on the practice squad and we called him up?
He was on the practice squad and called him up after multiple injuries.
They should just do that again then if he's still eligible.
Right. He is eligible because they changed the rules. You don't have to be a first 2-year guy to be on the practice squad. They could put him on the practice squad protected because there are those 4 spots that they have that rotates every week on who you can protect.
Like don't give him a roster spot if you're not going to play him.
And this is what I was talking about. Our starting offensive line was consistently getting quality push in the run game so much that teams are going to have to stack the box. And when that happens is when they're going to go to the play action. And while Goff has got his panini maker making a sandwich and drinking a nice tea, he'll be able to complete it to somebody downfield.
It runs like a 4-3.
I honestly think their toughest match of the entire season is going to be week 1. Because Philly can cover for a while with Slay and Bradbury there.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that is going to be one of the toughest games of the season. It's one of the 5 that I can't say it's a toss-up because they have a great defense.
You're right. It's not a toss-up.
See that offensive line against Philly's defense, so with Reddick, freaking, and that monster.
I mean, and Aleem did start the game, but he only played 3 certs.
I want to see Sewell truck Slay like he did. Oh my God, that would be the greatest ever.
They're complimenting.
And Brian Roy says, I agree with the man in the black shirt without a cowboy hat. That's you, Russell.
A cowboy hat.
There's 3 of them in black shirt. Which one?
I need to get
me a guy or the other guy.
And week 1 will tell us a lot. And you're right. I mean, if we're able to keep that competitive, even if we keep it close, I say that's a win compared to last season versus the Eagles.
Don't overreact after week 1 either way, because like I'm not backing off this ideology. We're going to jail sex the Eagles week 1.
Okay.
I can only hope. Like I said, I said if we keep it close, it's a win. It's a moral victory.
You know, you look at that offensive line.
Philly also has a good defensive line, which should be a great matchup against our O-line, as well as they have a good O-line to match up to our D-line. I mean, it's a good matchup up front, in the front. It's in the trenches. It's one hell of a matchup on both sides of the ball.
And they about to get the big nasties.
Their center, I think, is going to miss like week 1 minimally and week 2.
Awesome.
That's where we
that might help us a lot.
That's where you put Aiden in there rushing up the middle. And Jordan Davis, you're getting pancaked so hard, you're going to break your tailbone.
Yeah. Well,
oh, good luck with that, because he's been manhandling 300-plus pounders on the O-line.
Now, we're going to get Frank the Tank.
Yep.
Frank the Tank is coming.
Yep. And if you have to, chip in either Vitae or Jonah Jackson on.
Oh my gosh, that's the thing, man. When Dan Campbell talks about taking a team from the shallow water and dragging them into the deep water and drowning them, that's what he's talking about. When it's 7 minutes left and we're protecting a lead and we got the ball and our offensive line just moved these people out of the way, and then we're just watching the clock run down, and then we get another first down. They start running their timeouts, and all of a sudden Aaron Rodgers doesn't get another shot to be a hero because we just we've dragged them out into the deep waters, and we drowned them with our offensive line, not Goff.
In
And
that situation, speaking of Goff, that's when you bring in the furthest player down the depth chart with the biggest hands on the team and sit Goff. If all you're doing is handing off the ball, shit, go lure Luther Ellis out of retirement.
Oh, the tiny hands Goff. How are we ever gonna cope?
Hey, when we're talking about tiny hands here, did anybody see Kenny Pickett the other night?
He looked great. He looked great. He looked great. I ain't gonna lie. He looked better than Matt Corral
against grocery baggers.
No, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does. Yes, it does. The hype is getting. What he did look like is he was poised in the pocket and he was making the right throws. That's all you want out of a rookie that's not expected to start.
Right.
Hey, a grocery bagger did make the Hall of Fame, so.
He also
Brian Roy agrees with me. The Lions will be hungry week 1 against the Eagles and try to prove they're not a joke.
Doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
You can 3 toes.
Aforementioned grocery bagger also had a Hall of Fame receiver, another soon-to-be Hall of Fame receiver, the most underrated running back in NFL history.
Who's a Hall of Famer?
And when
Marshall
it works,
Parker,
the best offensive scheme maybe ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
With the Hall of Fame coach.
Yeah.
Which one?
Yep.
Dick Vermeil was the coach at the time.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Playoffs.
I was thinking it was March when he was there, but
I'm still sticking to my prediction of 7 to 10 wins.
Yep.
I think it's a safe window. What?
Wasn't Mike Martz the OC at that time for the Rams?
Yes, he was.
I thought
That's
it
what I
was
said. That is the best offensive scheme I've ever seen when you have the personnel.
until
Right.
Bill Belichick plays against it.
Fair enough.
He figured that thing out like nothing.
Well, until they came up with the defense that kind of like that's what happens is they invent these offenses and defenses and then they figure out ways to kind of chip away at the armor and then they have to invent something new.
Yep.
But
all about the adjustments.
And then unfortunately we went and got Mike Martz and then Oz Hakeem, who was a spare part in that offense, and tried to make him a number one wideout.
The corpse of Mike Martz came and
Exactly, kind of like the corpse of Randall Cobb to the Green Bay Packers.
What was Matt Millen saying? I'm going to
Back to
hire
Green
the
Bay Packers.
best, most popular coach out there.
there
I
you
mean,
go.
That was my $1 million idea that I never moved forward with. The Oz Hakeem bobblehands doll.
Yes, yes, bobbleheads. I love it.
That's
Hands
hysterical.
doing this.
Didn't that guy run like a 4.2 or something insane?
Yeah,
Oh,
he ran like a 4.29 or a 4.31.
Ridiculous.
Well, that's what I love about our offensive scheme that we have. It isn't sexy. Like what they're trying to do. They're just trying to pound the rock and play enough defense and then have a lead and be able to run the clock out with their big offensive linemen.
Yep.
And that's not
pound the rock with no bell cow. Someone on TV the other night tried to call Swift our main bell cow.
Brian Gowden.
We don't have a bell cow. We do. His name's Craig Reynolds.
Yeah, have you seen Smith not hurt?
Yeah,
I mean, Swift not hurt? Not a lot.
But between Jamal, Swift, I mean, I think I love the three-headed monster. All three of the different running backs offer something really different.
And like I said, on a 3rd and short, a full house so they don't know who's coming at you formation like they do in college, like they do, like Pittsburgh did for years. I like that idea in a 3rd and short. You put in the big uglies and a couple extra tight ends.
Yeah,
maybe bring in a tackle as a tight end to block.
Right. But all he needs to do is average 5 yards a carry. Like, we don't care that last year, Craig.
That's all. Only 5. Just be Barry Sanders or Jim Brown. No big deal.
I'll be happy with 4.
But that's what they did last year.
Like, and they did that. They averaged 4 yards a carry.
It didn't. I'm exaggerating. I'm sorry. I know you guys are real exact, but
you need to move the sticks. Basically,
there's a huge difference between 4 and 5. But I know what you're saying.
He averaged 4 yards a carry. I think they can average almost 4.5 yards if we're being like exact on with the offensive line. It didn't matter whether it was Craig Reynolds, Swift, Jamal, whoever was toting the rock, Mbikwe or however you say his name. They were
Igubuke.
all getting off. And they were
I
getting
did
off.
see most of what I wanted that first drive. Run, 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 try and stop me.
Yeah.
I mean, we only attempted 4 passes. I mean, we said, if they're doing that, if they're only attempting 4 passes per drive, let's say they get 7 drives a game. That's 28 attempts.
Yeah, that means you're taking possessions away from Mr. High Flying Offense. It's like, we're going to drag you out into the deep water and we're going to drown you.
Right.
And they're going to go, what's wrong with this team that the Lions just, no, it's not what's wrong with the team. It's what's right with us is we're playing this style of ball.
And Brian Roy says, I agree with the 7 to 10 wins. I mean, you look at it, there's 8, if you go just by the other team's records on the schedule, there's 8 winnable games, there's 4 toss-ups, and there's 5 games we shouldn't be close in.
It is the NFL. There are 17 winnable games.
I understand that.
In Arizona at all. I mean, we shouldn't have been close in most games last season, at the end of the season, but I don't think there's a game on the schedule that we don't have a good chance of winning.
Yes. And Brian Roy brings up another good point. Have you fellas noticed that a lot of our players are multitasking at other positions per Brad Holmes? Yes, they are.
That's the design.
That's right along the lines of something I wanted to say. Jeremy, I know me and you have talked about it before, but in the offseason, DeAndre Swift put on weight, Jamal Williams lost weight because they're literally both trying to take snaps away from the other one.
Right. And Jamal Williams cut down to where he's barely above DeAndre Swift in weight now. And DeAndre Swift, he put on the weight where he's almost there. He wasn't that big last year. He looks like he ate his former self and turned it into pure protein.
And that's the thing about our running backs, too. Any of them can break it. Any of them can turn a 3-yard gain into a 13-yard gain easily.
Right.
That's where that 4-point yard.
I prefer to have a bigger power back, but if they can average that kind of yardage running the ball, they will get 10 wins. Well, that's just it. We average 4.2.
Yep.
I would like to have.
Who was the QB they were talking about possibly bringing in for our number 2 QB? They were talking about. There's a rumor about a trade for Mason Rudolph.
Do it.
That's actually the best off-season trade that I've heard. I mean, I was not on the Baker Mayfield wagon or anything, but Rudolph actually plays the backup role. He's definitely better than Boyle or Blah. So
I like Baker. I don't care what y'all say. I love that guy swagger.
I don't know. He didn't look that good. Him and Sam Darnold put up similar numbers last week.
I would have taken Baker so long as he came with Lincoln Riley.
Yes.
I would have taken Jalen Hurts so long as he came with Lincoln Riley.
He's out of USC now?
Yeah.
Yes, I am drinking the Kool-Aid.
If you have the middle line, if you have a good line, you can stand up to anybody. All the guys in the NFL can play. The third string guy in the practice squad can ball out better than anybody you know.
All I can say is our O-line negated pretty much the San Francisco D-line.
Yeah.
We negated the Rams D-line. We even technically negated the great Minnesota D-line.
And we didn't have
we negated the Pittsburgh defense.
With no Ragnow.
With no Ragnow. And as a matter of fact, who else was out in that Pittsburgh game?
Was Decker still out?
No, I think Sewell was out, wasn't he?
Well, they were switching Sewell back from left to right, but the only games they really had Sewell and Decker on the right spots where they were supposed to go is when Goff had his best part of the season.
I mean, I don't envy Mike Tomlin at all because now he actually has QB competition there.
Yep.
All 3 quarterbacks actually had a great game for the Steelers.
It's a good problem to have.
467.
That being said, If any commenters want to say anything, come on in and ask us a question. It's the Ask the Panels part, because we basically covered everything. We already talked about the 3 players cut, 2 tight ends, Gilbert Griffin and Nolan Givens, and then Ryan McCullum.
Bring on Brock Wright and Devin Funchess. Let's go.
And with Kabinda being hurt, I think James Mitchell will end up being fullback.
That's right.
Father James Mitchell.
That was one of my favorite draft picks right there. Just because I can tell that these guys were building for 2023. Like anything that happens in 2022, if anybody out there is like wondering the psychology of Brad Holmes here, it's so obvious that it's a bonus. I mean, if they go to the playoffs this year, they were planning next year with all that cap money, with the other 2 first-round picks, and hopefully they'll have the good problem of Goff throwing for 4,500 yards and going, well, should we draft a quarterback, or we could trade Goff for a couple first-round picks, because if he has a good season, if Goff throws for 4,600 yards and 30 touchdowns.
Oh my God! You just went from 45 to 46. How or why do you even? I don't even want him to get to 4,000.
Why?
Oh, well.
Balance.
Why is he throwing for that many yards or having that many attempts? Unless the defense is terrible.
More. I said if he's doing 3,500 yards or more and 30 plus touchdowns, plus with the running game, I think he can get to 30. I mean, think about it. He had 7 touchdowns with an abysmal play calling, and he had 11 with good play calling in less games.
I would say he gets to 30 if we have a bunch of red zone passing touchdowns, which we should.
And that's what I see. We should. That's what I'm saying, because once we get in the red zone, we saw it even at Family Fun Fest. Look at what he was doing against everybody. Dom.
Right. And think about this, because this is what I was going to say as my general overview for the season, like throw out wins, losses, whatever. As bad as our defense was last year, we were second worst in points against, 467 points in 17 games. That math is 27.47 points per game. We have to agree the defense will be better, correct?
Absolutely.
And the offense is better than the defense, correct?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So all we have to do is score 28 points a game, and we should win a bunch of games.
Right. And I'd rather have Goff have 3,500 yards while I have 1,500 plus yards rushing. Guess what?
Exactly.
You had that last year. If you think about it. Because we had 1,883 yards rushing last year. That was actually the best the Lions have done rushing in decades.
Exactly. That's
averaging 110 yards per game.
Okay, so I'm looking at Jared Goff's stats. The last time he threw for 4,600 was when Todd Gurley led the league in rushing.
Yep.
Okay. So why can't he throw for 4,600?
He could.
He could.
Hey, with the number 1 rusher in the league, he could throw for 4,600.
Yep.
So you're going to say Swift is going to be the number 1 rusher in the league?
No, that's not what he's saying. He's saying
rushing.
There is a lot of analysts that are very high on DeAndre Swift.
I think his value drops this year, honestly, because of all those wide receivers. And now Goff's going to have confidence in throwing them and not have to just dump off to him all the time. I don't think Swift's going to get freaking even 800 yards this year, honestly.
Receiving wise?
Rushing. He's not getting 800 rushing even.
You're right, probably not. 700 rushing, 800 receiving. If he's healthy, book him for 1,500 total.
What's the time split going to be? I mean, is he going to get 20 carries a game? Is he going to get 20 touches in a game?
Actually, I do not want him getting 20 touches a game. Every time he gets
20 in week 4.
Every time he gets 20 touches or more, he gets hurt the following week.
So what do
He
you
will
think?
die in week 4.
If-
20 touches a game.
12 to 15 is his range right there.
I think it's a split between him and Jamal with maybe Craig Reynolds getting 8 to 10 touches a game.
If they're both healthy, I said this last year, and it probably would have happened. Jamal Williams should be our leading rusher.
Yeah, run him down.
Well,
they played the same amount of games. There was 5 snaps difference.
Yeah, it was super close together.
And
numbers wise,
that's what Dan Campbell wants. Like that, he wants.
Would you say Alvin Kamara?
And
Ingram
or Jamal? Like he's building it how he's seen it work before. So I don't know how good Swift is, but he was drafted before Jonathan Taylor. So
don't remind me. Don't remind me.
Except that no one on our coaching staff is Sean Payton, but Sean Payton or Dan Campbell is Sean Payton's like personal homeboy.
Exactly. But on the other, it's going to be what the D gives us. If they stack up towards the run, we're going to go ape shit on the pass. If they're worried about the pass, we're going to run them to death. Saying
with
what
a
they're
top
going to
3
do.
rushing attack.
Right there.
Exactly.
That's it right there. Is the balance.
What the
Right.
defense
We're
gives
talking
us,
about.
and we're going to pick it across. So, I mean, we can stop any defensive package that they give us. So,
And Brian Stover says Will Levis in 2023 draft.
That's the projection for the Lions at number 6 right now by CBS Sports.
What did they have the record for us to get the 6th pick?
Exactly.
Was it 7 and 10?
That's going to be your Giants, sir.
I want the Giants to take Tyler McCorkle. I want the kid from Miami.
I want the kid Grayson McCall out of Coastal Carolina.
I hope you mean Miami of Ohio.
University of Miami.
Why in God's name would you want a quarterback from a college in Florida?
You know what? You're not wrong, because it's the same thing
The
as
best
Ohio.
one ever was Charlie Ward, and he went to play basketball.
I'm telling you, Goff's going to play good enough.
Decent was that came out of there, really.
Wait, was it Richard Head that said top 3 rushing attack and Goff gets 4,000 yards?
Yes.
Yep.
If he does, our defense will be worse than last year. Because how do you have a top 3 rushing attack and a 4,000-yard passer unless they're on the field all the damn time?
Box.
Backyards.
When your defense is going to suck. Our defense is not good. It's not going to be good this year.
It only has to be a little bit better. Me and Jeremy called it last year.
But if
you look at total yards, that defense was miles better than the NFL historic 2020 defense because we moved up from 32 to 28.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be much better, but what I'm saying to justify the 4,600 yards with a lot of rushing, I mean, we're gonna have to keep up with people this year. If they win 10 games, it ain't gonna be because the defense went in all top 10 on somebody. It's gonna be because we outlasted some track meets.
Eli Manning was a fucking monster
in the postseason.
Yeah.
Don't anyone ever say anything bad about Eli Manning when I'm around. No.
He was kind of golfish in the regular
Eli
season.
Manning stopped the alleged GOAT from getting 2 more rings. Yet there's people that say Eli is not a Hall of Famer.
That's some
I
bullshit.
never said that.
Let me ask you this. Name a better postseason quarterback than Eli, honestly, because there isn't one.
Playoffs.
Brady.
If you say just one, Joe Flacco had 1 season that was better, but Eli's resume is better. I'll be right back.
Brian Stover, you say Eli was no Peyton. You're right, because he got 2 Super Bowls before his brother did.
Yep.
Peyton Manning was better in regular season, but then he got to the freaking playoffs and he turned into Aaron Rodgers.
That's a perfect example of Eli Manning is a perfect example of somebody that just played on a style of team, and his stats were what his stats were, but he played on a legendarily good defensive team, and you can't fault him for playing on a defensive team and not putting up stats. He was always a good quarterback.
Always an FTP day here, Brian. Absolutely.
If you go
defensive games are shitty and ugly.
the Giants' defense that year had a lot of sacks, but the defense itself actually sucked. We were like ranked in the top, like the bottom freaking 10 in the league in defense. Both years they won a Super Bowl. We just got hot at the right time and had great quarterback pressure.
But isn't it the truth, though, when they get into games like that where it's all nasty and ugly, that it just makes both teams play ugly? You ever notice that? Like, even with, like, super-duper Aaron Rodgers, when he gets in there against teams that just play ugly, he plays ugly. You have to learn how to win ugly games. And Eli Manning was good at winning ugly games.
This is a good reason too. Eli was fortunate to have arguably some of the best pass rush in NFL history. It's true. I mean, it is a team sport. It's a 53-man roster for a reason.
And defense always wins games. Especially in the playoffs.
And champion, what they say, the offense wins games, defense wins championships, and
that's it.
It is. And
defense wins games, offense sells tickets.
I mean, look back at like Kansas City, right? Kansas City wins the title. Oh, it's all Patrick Mahomes. It wasn't that way in the playoffs. It was Chris Jones in the playoffs. That's what.
Yeah, their defense got it together late in the year.
That's right. So it's like it always takes just like the perfect like balance of a team eventually. Like even like Terry Bradshaw, he's a perfect example of another Eli type of guy where like he was awful during the regular seasons of like all the time. And then he gets into the playoffs and
Eli is just generally better than Terry Bradshaw.
Sure.
Terry Bradshaw is the second most overrated quarterback of all time.
Who's the first?
Up in the playoffs. I mean, even
Broadway
though he had
Joe.
legendary defense.
Joe Namath?
Yeah, Joe Namath.
Correct.
Who's third?
Troy Aikman.
Yes.
I mean, Joe Montana never threw for 4,000. It's just a different era of football now when it comes with like
Richard Head, that's great. Back when Pierre Paul could still count to 10 with his hands.
Ouch. Ouch.
Oh my God.
That
Ouch. Oh, that was a knee slapper. I love it. Well, that being said, we're going to get ready to get off here. I want to thank all of my guests, Russell Wayne, Dan Leonard, Detroit Dom, and DC8091 for being on here. It's been a great show, guys. I will be back Wednesday night doing my NFL Roundtable Talk, trying to gather up some fans of other teams so we can actually go over the news. The big one is what it looks like is the slam dunk suspension of the year for Mr. Deshaun Watson is the big headline.
Oh, that's going to be fun.
You guys want to hang out backstage and BS some more after this?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for choosing Kneecap Biting with Smokin Jeremy B. And remember, always try to be a better person than you were the day before because it's always the best way to make the world a better place. Thank you for watching, and until next time.